Monterrei designation of origin is one of 5 such designations created in Galicia to regulate the production of high-quality wine. Although it is one of the most recent designations of origin, the long-standing grape and vine-growing tradition and culture of the region bear witness to the quality of its wines. The history of the region of Monterrei revolves around its castle. Situated in the highest part of the beautiful Monterrei Valley, it offers a magnificent vantage point from which to appreciate the land spread out below. This landscape was greatly admired by the Romans, who soon realized how ideal the region was for vine growing. Centuries later, the religious orders that settled in the area were responsible for the expansion of the vineyards. In the 1980s, Monterrei became one of the main vine-growing areas in Galicia, with over 8,600 acres of vineyards. Finally, in 1994, the Monterrei designation of origin was approved. At the same time, the regulatory body was created to take charge of supervising the grape and wine production, as well as the complex world which surrounds it. The Monterrei designation of origin covers a region which extends across the municipalities of Berín, Monterrei, Coimbra, Castrelo do Val, Vilar de Bos and Rios in the southeast of the province of Ourense. The river Tamega, which flows into the river Duero, crosses the region from north to south. It's worth noting that the Monterrei designation of origin boasts a great potential thanks to the peculiarities of its climate and the soil types of the terrain on which its vines are grown. These factors bear a great influence on the organoleptic characteristics which determine the quality of a wine, and so it's important to recognize the specific microclimate that prevails in Monterrei, notable for its warm, dry summers and its cold winters, with a thermal fluctuation of up to 30 degrees centigrade during ripening. The differing soil types to be found in the area range from slaty and schistose soils, which give a light mineral touch to red wines, to granitic and sandy soils, particularly suited to white wines. The Monterrei designation of origin is backed by a regulatory body which watches over the fulfillment of the established norms and regulations and certifies the excellence of the end product which the customer acquires, at the same time as promoting and publicizing the exquisite nature of its wines and the Monterrei brand name. The regulator carries out tasks related to the control of origin, inscribing terrains in its register. Prior to the beginning of the harvest, checks are carried out on the ripening and the condition of the grapes in order to verify their quality. In order to be given the Monterrei designation of origin, all the wines elaborated in associated cellars must undergo a qualification process consisting of an analytic examination as well as an organoleptic one carried out by the tasting committee of the regulatory body. If the wines qualify, the regulatory body proceeds to grant its approval so that these wines can be marketed by issuing bottling permits and labels. Another of the functions of the regulatory body is to promote the wines of the region by organising acts and events that attract the attention of the media, as well as by taking part in specialist trade fairs and presentations. These designated wines are elaborated with the following varieties of grapes. The production of the white wines is based on the varieties of Godello, Treixadura, Doña Blanca, Albarino, Loureira, Caíño Blanco and Blanca de Monterrei. The red wines are based on the production of the following varieties: Mencía, Araúxa or Tinta Fina, Merenzao, Caíño Tinto and Sousson. In Monterrei, the wine growers are more interested in the quality of the product they elaborate than in its quantity. For this reason, they are particularly aware that the optimum elaboration of a quality wine begins on the vine itself, and this is why they take such good care of their vines. The work starts long before the harvest of the grapes, with methods such as early pruning, followed by tidying the bunches of grapes so that the load on the vine is lightened during the period of veraison. This procedure is conducive to optimum ripening of the bunches, so that the risk of over-ripening is greatly reduced. the climate conditions in the area are such that we're able to reduce the number of phytosanitary treatments with a subsequent reduction in environmental degradation. Without a doubt, the harvest is the most important time of the year, and it usually commences midway through September and finalizes in early October, depending always on the temperateness or otherwise of prevailing weather conditions. The harvest is carried out by hand, and special care is taken to ensure that the bunches once picked arrive at the cellar in optimum conditions. The bunches that are deemed of inferior quality are rejected at the moment of picking itself. Once the grapes are in the cellar, a selection process takes place in order to filter out any impurities. Afterwards comes a destemming to separate the grapes from the stalks. In the case of white grapes, these are processed in a pneumatic press to extract the must or grape juice, which will be fermented in stainless steel vats at a controlled temperature of around 18 degrees centigrade. In the case of the red grapes, after destemming, they're taken directly to the vats, where they'll be subjected to initial fermentation known as alcoholic or tumultuous fermentation, which allows the skin of the grape to contribute to the characteristic colour of red wines. The second fermentation, known as malolactic fermentation, is carried out after separating the liquid from the skin, and in this process the acidity of the wine is diminished. In both cases, the following steps are decantation, filtering, and the necessary physical clarification that precedes bottling. Some of the cellars under the aegis of the regulatory body prefer more traditional methods when elaborating their high-quality wines, such as manual destemming, which avoids the red grape from being crushed by the automatic destemmer before entering the vat. Tanning in wooden barrels is another practice which gives red wines a very special flavour and aroma. The white wines are characterised by their pale yellow colour with bright, clean, greenish tints. Their aroma is powerfully suggestive of floral essences, of ripe fruit such as honeymelon or peach, as well as of hay. In short, these are wines with strong flowery and fruity overtones, balanced, structured and appetising, perfect to accompany all manner of fish and seafood from our Galician coasts. As for the red wines, they are wines of great intensity, whose cherry red colouring also has violet touches. Their scent is characterised by vivid aromas reminiscent of wild fruits such as cherries, mulberries or raspberries, as well as hints of flowers such as violets, and in some cases subtle mineral resonances. To the taste, they sum up the expression of ripe fruit, with pleasant, persistent and well-structured tannins, which are the perfect accompaniment for all sorts of Galician cheeses and game. In conclusion, the wines of Monterrei boast two qualities which make them especially attractive. On the one hand, there is a centuries-old vinicultural tradition in the area inherited by today's vineyards. Thanks to this, they are able to produce wines of such a high quality. And on the other hand, there is the youthfulness of the recently created designation of origin covering these wines and with a tremendous potential for growth and expansion. Thus, tradition and youth combine to offer us genuinely unique wines with great commercial potential. Take the leap today and discover the secret of wines with the Monterrei designation of origin.